So if you haven't encountered INEOS before, or indeed Jim Ratcliffe, INEOS is a giant chemicals company, turnover of what, 60 billion euros, maybe 70 billion euros this year. Had its roots in Europe and the UK, buying up assets that companies like BP didn't want, but now getting very big in Saudi and China, a proper multinational now. But to be honest, most of you know him more because he's now part owner of Manchester United, and he was just telling me earlier he got jumped on by 2 Man U fans on the way into the building. So, so there you are.
No escape.
No escape. Yeah, indeed. Jim, I thought I'd start. We heard earlier, and I think you heard it outside the speech from Rachel Reeves. Famously, you left the UK mainly because of fears of what Jeremy Corbyn might do. Who he was and what he might represent for people like you. Do you, having heard Rachel Reeves and you've said some things about Keir Starmer already this week, do you think the Labour Party now is that same Labour Party that you were worried about under Corbyn?
I mean, I've absolutely no idea, I have to say, really. I think old habits die hard, don't they, really? I mean, I've met Keir, which I've mentioned I've met Keir a couple of times, and he's he's a very sensible guy, intelligent and thoughtful. So I think Keir will sort of head off, hopefully in the right direction, but whether the apparatus around him can be managed or not, I mean, time will tell, won't it, really? But all that said, I think we've not had the most successful patch with the Conservatives for the last 20 years, certainly the last 4 or 5 prime ministers. So the mood in the country is probably that we need a change, don't we? Right?
Well, because what you said was widely interpreted as you supporting Keir Starmer. Is it you supporting Keir Starmer or just not supporting what's happened for the last 20 years, or turning your back on that one?
Well, I think what we've seen in the last 20 years has been a mess. It hasn't been very well managed, frankly. But I mean, no, all I'm saying is I'm apolitical. INEOS is apolitical. We all have our personal political views, and I'll sort of keep those to myself. All I'm saying is that I think Keir Starmer's a straightforward, decent man.
Even though he supports Arsenal?
Apart from that. Monumental weakness, I actually met him at the Arsenal match, and we lost. So I'm surprised we have any relationship at all.
Let's just talk about what the recent record of handling the economy has been for the Conservatives. What about the causes of inflation? We did have the furlough scheme. Jeremy Hunt, when he was here earlier, was talking about the furlough scheme and what a good job it did. Were there some downsides from the furlough scheme that you can see? Yeah,
I think it's just a simple one, which we said at the time, or I said at the time really, is that the furlough scheme in the UK was, I mean, basically a good scheme, and you had to provide some sort of level of continuity for people during that sort of 2-year shutdown. But the average cost of furlough in the UK was double that in mainland Europe. So we were just far too generous, really. And it became a sort of discouragement for people working. And of course, I mean, it's simple stuff. I'm not an economist, but if you pay people to be non-productive, by definition, you're diluting the currency, aren't you? A currency represents value. So if you pay lots and lots of money for people to do nothing and add no value, then by definition, you're going to dilute the currency, and therefore you'll get inflation, and therefore, you have to put the interest rates up to battle inflation and all that. So I thought we were a bit immature in terms of the level at which we set the furlough payments and the extent to, the length of time that we applied them. We should have been encouraging people to get back to work or find, ways to add value.